So, Karen, what happened to you last week?
I was sick.
Really? Did you have the virus?
Hello, this is Karen.
And this is Kevin.
And this is Right From Us. Actually, no, I did not have the virus. Though I will say at first I thought I might have, because I did lose my sense of taste and smell. In fact, it's just now coming back. It's been almost a week. But no, I had a sinus infection and I couldn't talk. And that's the biggest reason why we didn't do a podcast last week, because it would have just been you and me over here squeaking.
You were kind of hoarse.
But, it is possible to have something other than COVID. Did you know that?
No.
There are other diseases out there that people can still get.
I don't think so.
I know. It seems really strange.
I haven't looked at the flu graph in a while, but there for a long time, and it probably still is the case.
I'm sure.
It's like flu this year is just non-existent. Everything's COVID.
I know. It's really weird, but yeah, it's possible to get something other than COVID.
Yeah, everything is getting counted as COVID. Flu, pneumonia.
Absolutely.
Everything. Yeah, I was just thinking about how many times I've had to lie, when they ask you when you go, it's like, do you have a runny nose? It's like, I always have a runny nose.
Wow.
Because of allergies.
Funny,
I always just say no.
Funny you bring that up, because I lied every day at work.
Yeah, I mean,
because I continued going to work. I did not stop going to work. And when you first walk in the doors, I'm a medical assistant. I work in the healthcare field, in case you guys don't know. And they take your temperature every day you go to work before you walk in the doors. Then you get a sticker if you pass, and you put it on your badge. But every day they take your temperature and they ask you, any fevers, chills, loss of taste or smell, a cough, blah, 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 headaches. And I mean, I pretty much had all those symptoms, and I was just like, no, I'm good. I mean, because if I had said yes, what would have happened?
What would happen?
I probably would not have been allowed to work.
Probably. Yeah,
even though I didn't have a temperature, I was exhibiting those symptoms, which could be symptoms from hundreds of other diseases and viruses and bacterial infections. And so, yeah, I lied. And I continued going to work even though I felt like my head was going to explode. But hey, life can't stop, unfortunately.
Well, should you go to work when you don't feel good?
I mean,
I always do.
As long as you're not contagious, I don't see why not. Just because I don't feel good, I mean, to me, it's almost better to go to work, because then you're at least distracted from not feeling well.
Yeah.
To get through your day, whereas I'm home, I'm just like, I don't feel good.
With COVID, you can not have symptoms and be spreading it.
That's
so you're
true.
Like typhoid Karen.
So who knows? Maybe I gave my sinus infection to someone else. That's not possible, by the way.
Yeah.
Because it's bacterial. But anyway. So, yeah, I couldn't talk last week, so we had to forego. I mean, I tried to talk you into doing the podcast by yourself. You could have done it.
I would just not have enough to talk about.
Whereas me, I would not have had any problem with that. But anyway, I do that every day. I do that every week anyway. Okay, so since we are on the vid, should we just continue talking about that? So
I guess, what you got?
Well, I feel like my days are numbered in the healthcare field, because here we go, folks. An article came out. Houston Hospital will dismiss employees who refuse the COVID vaccine.
I've actually heard this. Quite a few companies are demanding their employees.
This is the first healthcare business I've heard
you had
of.
to know that was coming.
Oh, I absolutely know it's coming. A hospital in Houston, Texas will suspend or fire hospital workers who refuse to take the COVID vaccine on or by June 7th. Pat Gray explained a new mandatory policy implemented at Houston Methodist Hospital requiring all hospital workers to be vaccinated by the set deadline or face dismissal. Currently, the hospital reported that 4 out of 5 Houston Methodist workers are vaccinated, and those who refuse the vaccine will face dismissal. Our hospital administrator said that getting vaccinated is a part of the sacred oath, healthcare, to do everything possible to keep patients safe and healthy.
Yeah, it seems like this issue has sort of changed in the last month or so, maybe last couple of months. At one time, everybody was saying, "There's no way
they can't do that."
Yeah, there's no way, since it's authorized under emergency use only.
Right. Which that has not
there's no way.
changed. I'm pretty sure we're still under that.
Yeah, but everybody at one time, everyone was saying that
Right.
they can't force you because it's an emergency use authorization.
Well, the American Frontline Doctors website has a link on it that you can retain a lawyer for $50 in your area to kind of find out what your rights are. And I was going to ask you if you think we should do that because it's coming. That fight is coming down the road.
At some point, yeah, for sure.
Just to see what our rights are, if nothing else. I mean, we may not have a leg to stand on, but at least we'll know.
Yeah, when you first had to take the flu vaccination, I actually called an attorney locally, and they just basically laughed about it.
Yeah, but this situation's different. Now we're under an emergency, whatever.
Yeah, at this point, it's still considered experimental.
Exactly. The vaccine hasn't gone through its trials like every other vaccine that's out there and offered to people. So I think we have more to stand on now. The question is, do we have the funds and do we have anybody out there brave enough to fight that fight? And do we want to fight that fight, to be honest?
Would there be, I know of an attorney in Canada that takes on these cases.
Yeah, but he's in Canada.
On a voluntary basis, but
well,
so I don't know.
And think about it too, though. What if we cause some waves and we get a lawyer involved? I mean, isn't that going to be super awkward for me and my employer? Don't you think that the employer is going to be like,
right? They just
been looking for an excuse to get rid of me for over anything?
Exactly. Right.
Yes, I think so too. I think it would just end up being super awkward and weird, and I don't want to walk on eggshells for the rest of my time there.
Yeah. This is getting kind of crazy because I've heard a lot of people say, "Well, if you don't have the vaccine, you're not going to be invited over to my house anymore."
Right. Which you know what? Okay, that is sad, but if that's how people want to live their life, then by all means, do it.
My question is, do they also check to make sure the person's got the smallpox vaccine?
Yeah.
It's like, why are you singling out this one thing?
Yeah. There was a video that's gone viral on Twitter. It's an African-American lady, and she uses a lot of bad language, but I love her message because she's basically saying, enough is enough. We're all sick to death of this COVID. If you want to stay home and live your life in fear, then you're entitled to do so. If you want to wear a mask, then wear a mask. But stop asking everybody else to play into your fear. We are all going to die at some point. We can die from any other diseases, cancer, heart disease, pulmonary, in a car wreck. I mean, there are a number of ways you can die. Is that really how you want to live your life? Is in fear?
Yeah, right. If you want to get the vaccine, great.
Go
if you
for
want
it.
to wear a mask, that's great. I'm all for it.
But you can't mandate everyone else to go along with your fears.
Right.
I mean, you just can't. You can't ask that. And that's what they're asking right now.
Yeah,
that's why everybody's so upset.
And what is the deal with, people that are vaccinated still having to wear a mask? I mean, I thought if you're vaccinated, you're immune from something.
Oh, now, if you're vaccinated and the people you're with are vaccinated, you don't have to wear a mask outside.
Outside?
That's what they said, outside. You're okay to go ahead and take your mask off outside, but if you're inside, you still need to wear your mask.
That's crazy.
In fact, you should wear double masks. You shouldn't just wear one because, then you're doubly. But, isn't it funny how 86 million have been vaccinated, yet daily COVID-19 cases are the same as they were in February? Think about that for a minute.
Yeah.
Why are we going through all of this if nothing's going to change? It just makes zero sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't looked at the the flu numbers and the death rate numbers in a couple of weeks. I should look that up again. At one time, it really wasn't. It never really. If you look at what the flu usually is, it's really not that much different.
No, not at all. This article that I just quoted, I just read the headline from. It says, over a quarter of the United States population has been vaccinated for COVID-19. One would think that with so many allegedly safe people, combined with the warmer weather, COVID cases today would be dropping compared to February. They're not. In fact, the numbers are almost identical. In the last week of February, the U.S. was averaging 65,686 cases of coronaviruses per day. Now, 8 weeks later, we're averaging 64,814 new cases per day. So virtually no change whatsoever since February. And we've had all these upticks of vaccines and stuff.
They're not really having the mass testing things anymore. You know how they used to have the come on down to the fairgrounds and get tested. That's not happening anymore.
But is it though? I kind of feel like it's still going on.
Well, I looked at some information from a local hospital, and it was saying that about 6% of the people that were getting tested that actually thought they had the virus that got tested, only 6% of the people actually had the virus. So people were going in thinking they had symptoms, and they got tested, and then only 6% of the people actually had the virus.
Well, that's assuming that the test they took was accurate.
That's another thing. The PCR test, depending on the number of cycles, they have to do these cycles to amplify the results.
Yeah.
And if it's over about 17 cycles, then it's highly inaccurate. And but before, earlier in the year, the WHO was allowing up to 40 or 50 times 50 cycles, which was producing all kinds of false positive tests. And then, curiously, on January 20th, Inauguration Day, they lowered it down to where it can be more than 17 cycles, which is what the test is supposed to be.
Yeah, and to get a lot more information about what he's talking about, I found a website through Gab, as a matter of fact. It's called nojabforme.info, and it has a ton of links that links to scientific evidence and just all kinds of additional information. And that's a big chunk of that site is talking about the accuracy of the tests. And that kind of thing. And it's a really great site to check out. In fact, one side note, when you first go to this website, the very first thing it says is basically, if you take this site down, we are going to sue you. I love it. I thought it was pretty great.
The information that's out there about the tests and about the virus and about the vaccine, most people are just completely ignorant of, because it's not in the regular news media. It's not being covered.
Exactly.
And also, if you do talk about it on Facebook or Twitter, it gets taken down.
Right.
It's like,
and you get
why?
You get a slap on the hand because how dare you talk about?
Why can you not discuss this?
Something that's not being promoted. And I know.
I mean, you got doctors. I didn't forward that video to you the other day, but you got doctors promoting a particular medication that they swear is a cure for this.
Yeah, and their licenses get suspended because they've dared to offer an alternative. Isn't that scary?
It really is.
That is so scary.
It's really just evil.
Well,
and shouldn't they be held accountable for all the deaths that have happened as a result of them not letting this information through? I think that they're definitely
part of the problem. I think the media as a whole needs to take a huge responsibility for this whole fiasco, because they're the ones that have been pushing this agenda from the very get-go, putting the death count toll on their sites every day and just scaring the bejesus out of people. I mean, they should be held accountable, but they'll never be held accountable. But here's the thing, here's so frustrating about that situation is when the Republicans were in the majority and had a chance to do something about these big techs, they didn't do it. They wussed out. And now look where we are. I just hope that's a lesson to the Republicans that do the right thing and stop being such scaredy cats.
The news media is never going to say good things about you, so just do what's right.
You are never going to win against the woke crowd, ever. So you might as well do what you need to do and do what's right. Here's another part of that article that says, here's the part that should concern us the most. The narrative is shifting from vaccines will make you immune to vaccines will make you better able to handle the disease. Notice how the narrative is changing, because now that it's been proven that the vaccine doesn't necessarily stop COVID in its tracks, but if you get it, you won't get symptoms as bad. If you get it, so you can still get the disease, you can still give the disease to someone else. Why in the world are people putting themselves out there and allowing them to get the jab? I just don't understand that. When nothing is going to change, and that's the primary reason why people are sticking their arms out, because they want everything to go back to normal. With the people in control, the media, the government, the social media giants, They don't want to go back to normal. They like it the way it is. They like the fact that they can control every single aspect of your life. They can control about what you think, what you see, what you hear. They like it. They don't care about you as an individual. They only care about controlling you and getting your money. That's it. That's all they care about. I don't know when people are going to start understanding that. That gives us the worst of both sides of the coin. On one hand, we're supposed to take these experimental jabs to make it easier for us to recover, even if we can still get infected. On the other hand, because the cases aren't going down, the vaccines seem more like a treatment enhancer than a path to immunity. We'll still need to follow the draconian COVID protocols we've been living through for a year. Over a year now. Well, I guess it has been exactly a year. Add in new strains and variants, and it's easy to see how this is all a recipe for perpetual authoritarianism in a new normal that includes constantly boosted vaccines and ongoing lockdowns. If the vaccines don't make it safe enough to live our lives normally without government permission, what's the point at all? Was there ever really a point out of expanding government control? There you go. I mean, it's a lot to think about. And it makes me super nervous about all the people that have been vaccinated because, I mean, what exactly did you get? You didn't get a part of the virus.
It seems like also people enforcing the masks they're getting more aggressive. I don't know if you've noticed that at all, but
like how so? What do you mean?
I don't know. A couple places I've gone, it's like I've gone to this recycling. I go to this recycling store to buy building materials, and they've got this big, huge. I mean, it's like an 8-foot tall sign. It's like that.
Oh yeah.
It's like that. Have you seen that? Here, let me show you that.
Yeah, no, I've seen it because we went there one time and they had that big sign up. So
Did you go to the recycling place?
Oh, I'm sorry, the recycling thing. I thought you were talking about that one home store. But yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, it just seems like they're getting a little bit more strict. You go in there, and I would always not have a mask or have it pulled down, and then the last time I went in there, the guy said, "You need to pull your mask up."
You say strict, I say desperate. I think people are getting more and more desperate because they feel like they're losing people, like they're losing control of the agenda. You know what I mean? They're losing control of the narrative because people are starting to wise up a little bit. And realizing, like, even people that are vaccinated that are on Twitter are just like, why did I go through this if nothing's going to change? I mean, if I got the jab for no other reason than to just want to get back to normal and things didn't get back to normal, I would be furious. Right? So I kind of feel sorry for the people that have already gotten the jab.
I know.
With the sole intention of just wanting to live their life. Well, you know what? It's kind of like kneeling in front of a woke person. You're never going to satisfy their criteria, ever. So you might as well do what is right for you and your family. And if that is not getting the jab, then live your life. Because just like that girl said in the video, we're all going to die at some point. Whether it's from COVID, whether it's from something else, you might as well live every day to its full potential.
Yeah. So anyway, they've had these mass vaccination events, and apparently they're having to close them early because they're having trouble getting people to come get vaccinated.
See, to me, that is encouraging.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like, the 50% or whatever people that wanted it have gotten it. So it's like now, they're going to have talk people into it. Like, for example, to get the rednecks, they got to advertise on NASCAR. Did you see where
some kind of
said
incentive?
That? Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to get the jab because you want a free donut.
Yeah. Or a free beer, coupon for free beer or free coffee.
I have no words for you.
And did you see the one the other day? The lady was so excited because she found that there was a opening for one vaccination, but it was a drive-through, so she had to go rent a car so she could drive through, and she was so excited. She rented a car.
I'm sorry. I
so
think
she could
that's
drive
just
through and get
sad.
a vaccine.
That is so sad. It just makes me sad that people are so scared that they're willing to go out and rent a car just so they can go and get the jab for something they think is going to happen and not going to happen. It just makes me sad. I think it's evil the way they've got everybody, just the wool's pulled over everybody's eyes.
Well, again, people are just ignorant, and that's not bad. It's just that they're not.
We're not saying that in a demeaning way.
It's just that they just don't know.
Right.
They just don't. They take what the news media is saying as truth, and
they make the mistake of trusting the wrong people. Really.
Yeah. What was the thing on your list? I saw that CNN was talking about trying to get the fear up on something. What was that?
Oh, actually, that is not listed here, but I know what you're talking about.
Oh, climate fear. They're going to sell the climate fear.
Well, I don't know if you saw the Project Veritas video that went viral of the guy from CNN, and how he was talking about how they were actively campaigning against Trump and getting Trump out of office and so forth. And he was talking about how fear sells, and I mean that's what they do. They sell fear because it's a very powerful emotion that motivates people to do uncharacteristic things. And so to me that's just proof positive in his own words on this video that that's their agenda. There's no desire to be truthful. There's no desire to report the story. There's only propaganda. There's only trying to brainwash you into their thinking.
Well, just the news media in general. That's how they get people to listen to their stuff. Is they push the crisis so they can get people to keep watching.
I think it's more nefarious than that. I think that's just it's all part of one big agenda to turn this country on its ear and turn it into something that you don't even recognize anymore. Which, I mean, to be honest, they've been pretty successful. I mean, let's turn our attention for a moment to the fiasco that happened this past week with the George Floyd verdict. Guilty on all 3 counts.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Now, I have mixed feelings on this because on one hand, what he did, he should have been reprimanded for. I mean, the man was down. He was not fighting anymore. He should have gotten up. There's no excuse for him to have a knee on his neck for 9 minutes. 9 minutes. Now he's just using the man as a footstool or something.
Yeah, I mean,
that's wrong.
Yeah, I mean, the jury saw all the evidence. You gotta kind of have a little bit of faith in the jury system, don't you? To say that
I have faith in. Well, I have as much faith as I can in the justice system.
Yeah.
What I don't have faith is in the jurists who are human.
Yeah.
And who had a very human reaction because they didn't want to have their houses burned down.
That one juror that was interviewed said that they were afraid.
Yes. And you can't fault the jurist for thinking this because that's exactly what would have happened.
Yeah, after what Maxine Waters said.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And not to mention, let's see, what was this? Video shows Portland cop surrounded, punched in face just hours after Chauvin found guilty. So, it doesn't matter what happens. These people just want to get out there and use anything like that as an excuse to act like an animal and be violent.
Just I don't know if it was the same day or just within the next couple of days. They're just on to the next manufactured crisis.
Absolutely.
With the girl that got shot when she was in the process of stabbing another girl.
Now wait a minute, Kevin. She's a 16-year-old little girl.
She's a child.
She's a child.
And children are always having knife fights.
Right. That's not unusual. That's how they pass time. Teenagers will be teenagers.
Yeah, why do they even call the police for that?
I cannot believe they're even trying to use that as an excuse. Is that not insane? Teenagers will be teenagers. That girl is out there with a knife. She was in mid-swing, getting ready to stab that other girl.
That police officer, I mean, he really acted fast.
He was a marksman, and they actually said that it was pretty unusual that he made the shot, but he was a marksman, so he was trained in that.
Did you hear some of these idiots on MSNBC or something said, well, why didn't he try to shoot the knife out of his hands?
By the way, let's call a spade a spade. That was Joy Behar from The Stupid Voice. I hate that show so much. She's like, why didn't you just shoot in the air? And he's like, duh, what goes up must come down.
Well, somebody said, why didn't you try to shoot the knife out of the hand? Or why didn't you try to shoot him in the leg or shoot her in the leg?
Or, just shoot anywhere.
That is insanity.
So that he could potentially hit another innocent person. And side note, whatever happened to the jerk that kicked that one girl in the head? That just completely went under the rug.
That whole situation was just bizarre.
The whole situation was bizarre. The fact that people are out there actively fighting and trying to kill each other in front of the police is bizarre.
The police officer was there, and then they were just continuing to fight, kick each other in the head, and stab when the police officer was there.
I know, it's bizarre to me. It's like that was not a deterrent at all. It's like, okay, well, just stand there and watch me commit this crime.
Yeah.
But it's so sad and crazy that these people on the left are just like, but girls will be girls. Teenagers will be teenagers. I don't understand why you had to shoot her. She wasn't, she had a knife in her hand and she was swinging, but...
Teenagers always have knives, so what's the big deal?
Right. Is that not insane? They have to know that what they're saying is stupid. They have to know it. There's no way.
Are they just that
I think
stupid?
there is some, no, I think they know exactly what they're doing. And unfortunately, we're buying it. We're just hooked like, oh yeah, you're right. I never thought about it that way. They're just out there having a grand old time. And he interrupted their play. They're just out there playing because, they're little kids.
So we had Nancy Pelosi out there praying essentially to George Floyd, thanking him for dying.
I just can't. These people, I can't.
Nancy Pelosi, she is just really just
her and Maxine Waters. They're just a couple of crazy bats. They really are. They're just, I don't know if they've been in politics too long or I don't know, but they're just, everything that comes out of their mouth is just crazy talk. But anyway, I don't know. But it's so sad that the state of affairs we've gotten to in our country nowadays, where you can't even rely on the justice system to work because people are scared of repercussions.
Well, the judge even said that because of what Maxine Waters said. In case you don't know, Maxine Waters, she's a California congresswoman, and she went to Minnesota
specifically.
Yeah, and
specifically for this reason, by the way.
If we don't get the verdict we want, we need to basically be more violent. And the judge even said that could cause this to be a mistrial.
Imagine being a juror on the Derek Chauvin case, one of the most significant trials of the 21st century, and you are responsible for delivering justice, or trying to. Violent Marxist and anarchist rioters are in the streets outside the courthouse. You wonder, maybe outside your house, destroying almost at will. Chauvin was found guilty of everything. Geez, Minnesota does not screw around. They convicted him of second-degree murder, third-degree murder, and second-degree manslaughter. Though I'm familiar with the elements of those laws, I will not second-guess the jurors. Well, not too much. I'm sitting here on a sunny patio, safely tapping away at a keyboard. They sat in their stress-filled courtroom and heard all the evidence. They likely felt the radioactive intimidation aimed at them from Democrat politicians, radical activists, and rioters in the streets as they tried to do their civic duty. Again, I see what he's saying. It's easy for us to sit here and judge, but geez Louise, imagine being one of those poor people. I wouldn't want anybody...
One of the jurors?
Yeah, one of the jurors on the jury. Because realistically, you want to do what's right, but you also have to protect yourself and your family.
I know if your identity got made public, then your house would get burnt down or something.
Which that's exactly what happened in the other case with the teenage girl. LeBron James tweeted out a picture of the cop that shot her, along with his address, I believe, and then immediately deleted the tweet.
Yeah.
And, he's not going to get any trouble. He kind of rolls his eyes like, yeah, whatever. There's no way I'm going to lose my sponsorships and blah, blah, blah. And he's probably right because, he's part of the group of people that are that run this country. So why would he get in trouble? So, yeah, I understand their hesitation because people don't hesitate in calling you out and making everything public.
Yeah.
That would be rough.
Yeah, and then we've got the instructions for white people at the George Floyd Square.
Oh, Martin Luther King must be turning in his grave.
They've got these signs that say "Welcome to the George Floyd Square," and then it has some things about that. This is where George Floyd took his last breath, and then there's some instructions at the bottom for white people in particular.
Isn't that crazy?
How is that not racist?
It is racist, but they like to label it something else. And, here's the thing. You can do whatever you want, okay? You can think whatever you want. You can say whatever you want. I get it. But the fact that they're saying all this stuff, and it just gets crazier and crazier, it makes less and less sense. What really shocks me the most, I think, is that people believe it, or they buy it. Hook, line, and sinker. Or do you think they're just going along to get along? Or do you think people are truly that ignorant because they are so desperate to be part of this woke crowd?
People just are ignorant. They don't know. Like, for example, they don't know that the BLM, one of the leaders of the BLM, has got all these mansions all over the country, paid for by contributions.
That reminds me of a funny headline on Babylon Bee that they were talking about that girl that has spent all that money on these houses. And she's like, racism won't truly be over until she can buy another $1 million house. Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy.
It's insulting to all the people that are out there thinking that they're trying to do good and help. And here's something else I was thinking the other day too. It's easy for us to look at this and criticize because we disagree with what's going on. But imagine being on the other side for a minute. Some people truly think in their minds that they're doing the right thing, that they're truly, fighting for a cause they believe in.
These Antifa people going around burning things up, they really think that they are doing.
Yeah, they really think that we have systemic racism in this country. They truly believe that, even though when you look at the statistics, at the numbers, because numbers don't lie. And there was, I don't remember who it was, there was some guy on the street talking to people. And they asked him, so you think there's systems? Oh, yeah, this country is racist. Thousands of black people are hunted down every year. They truly think that number is correct.
Yeah, I listened to, there's this guy named Chris Plant that I listen to, and he is always talking about that. And that there are more people struck by lightning every year than black people killed by police officers.
That's my point. They don't. I just wonder if they truly knew the truth, if that would make them change their mind. Kind of like the people that found out about Hunter Biden after the fact.
Yeah.
Said they would not have voted for Biden if they had known about that. So it just kind of makes me wonder if people truly found out that the stuff they've been fed is grossly over-exaggerated, if they would change their tune and be like, whoa, wait a minute,
yeah,
what?
For sure, but it's not going to happen because, a lot of people get their news from Facebook and Twitter, and it's not allowed.
Don't you think it's weird though that people still believe in CNN and Facebook and all this stuff, even though now it's like widely known that they're completely prejudiced and they have an agenda and they're censoring. I mean,
I don't think it's widely known.
I think it is, but I think people they don't believe it or they're okay with it because they agree with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
It's the censorship that they agree with, so
yeah,
it's not wrong.
Right.
But would you feel that way if the roles were reversed? Would you be okay with all the censoring?
Well, maybe we're the ones that don't. Maybe we're the ones that are ignorant.
Maybe. I don't know.
Could be.
But I mean, that's all the more reason to find out information from both sides, like all sides, not just one side.
Yeah, for sure. I always try to look at not only just conservative news, but also I click on the other side just to see what's going on.
And that's one reason why I'm still on Twitter.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you need to know what the opposing side is saying.
I know, and usually it's like when you look at this other stuff, it's like, what in the world? There's no way. Just like, okay, it came out this week that the on the January 6th insurrection, I'm making quotation marks, that the police officer, they finally released the autopsy, and he died of a stroke.
Oh, yeah.
And, all this time,
Yeah.
they've been saying, 5 people were murdered at the armed insurrection. Well, first of all, it wasn't armed. The only person that got killed was shot by the police.
Well, and I'd also argue that it really wasn't an insurrection, but whatever.
Right. A white Air Force person, gal, got shot by the police. Everybody else died of medical emergencies. So one person got killed, and they've been labeling it as an armed insurrection. It was a pretty pathetic insurrection. If that was an insurrection, there was no arms.
But here's the thing. Here, to me, this is what's even more hurtful and damaging and disturbing, is that nobody cares about the truth. And this is just like recurring theme. Every time the truth comes out, it's like people are already over it and no longer paying attention.
Right. So
they don't
what is
understand.
This is April. This is the end of April, and it took them 3 months to release the autopsy information for this police officer that died. Like the day after they knew that he died of a stroke,
Mm-hmm.
and then it was just kind of like swept under the carpet that the guy died of a stroke. He wasn't, because the news was saying all along, well, he was beaten in the head with a fire extinguisher. No, that's not what happened. He died of natural causes. He died of a stroke.
But it's too late. People have already got it in their heads that that's what happened,
right.
And there's nothing you can say that to change my mind, even though it's come out and the truth is out now. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
I'm still going to believe it. I'm still going to believe the original lie.
It was a armed insurrection, and 5 people got killed.
Just like them counting the ballots or doing a recount in Arizona from the presidential race. I mean, You think if they come up with any kind of eureka moment, that you think that's going to make any difference?
Yeah. What do you think is going to happen on that?
I don't know.
Probably
and
nothing.
I guess my question is why? Why are they doing it at this point?
Well,
to prove a point? Nothing's going to change.
I've sort of been following that a little bit, and they have really been fighting to get that audit. And
they've also been fighting to suppress the audit. Well, I guess it's the same thing.
It's not going to result in anything.
Yeah, see, that's what I mean. What's the objective here, other than to say, "Oh, see, we were right. This state didn't count their ballots."
How many times do we have to say, "See, we were right"?
I guess they're wanting some concrete evidence for what? The history books? I mean, okay, let's say for the sake of argument that they go through and they do the same thing with, what was the state up east that was Pennsylvania? Let's say they do the same thing with Pennsylvania and their counts come back and they were completely wrong. What are we going to overturn? Are we going to overturn the election and Biden's no longer our president? I mean, what's the objective here? Other than just say, see, I told you I was right.
Yeah. I mean, they should still be doing the audit, though.
I agree.
You shouldn't not do it.
But I mean,
it's
I
not
guess
going to result in anything,
right?
Except for maybe, they might be able to enact some changes in laws. But look what happened in Georgia whenever they tried to enforce their.
Well, but again, it was fed to the public incorrectly.
Yeah.
And the public once again, hook, line, and sinker, bought it.
Yeah.
When in fact, what really happened is the laws that Georgia changed or enacted or whatever they did actually helps, the voter instead of suppress the voter like it was.
Yeah, it's actually more. There's more days of early voting than most other states or many other states. Did you see that they're boycotting? The left is boycotting Home Depot because they didn't come out against the Georgia law. They just were silent, like a company should be. The company should be silent about it. Not like Coke and Delta and all these other companies.
At this point, does that surprise anybody? And this whole boycott crap.
I'm always
no one's going to boycott anything.
Well, I'm always the companies that are boycotting. That's the companies I go to. Like I've been going to Home Depot more to offset.
Oh, wait a minute. So you're saying that Home Depot was trying to defend it, and then other people are like, "We need to boycott Home Depot."
Home Depot was just silent. They just didn't. They didn't come out against.
Well, as companies should.
Right.
They should not get political.
Right.
Just sell your damn product.
Yeah. So I've been going to Home Depot more to offset the boycott.
It's so crazy. We live in the most topsy-turvy, alternate universe society. It's unbelievable. It is unbelievable.
Okay, what else you got? We're getting up there on time.
Here's something kind of off the wall that kind of caught my eye. Man honors late father with custom bowling ball incorporating ashes, scores perfect game, and he says, he was there. My father was there with me. So what happened was this man's father died. He cremated him, and he put his ashes inside his bowling ball. Then he went and bowled a game, and it was a perfect game. And he's attributing his successful game that, his father was there with him in spirit, I guess. Which, what do you think about that story? I wanted to bring this up because I think it's an interesting point in people's beliefs in anything other than God, I guess.
Well, I mean, I think it's something like that could definitely encourage you to do better,
See, that's what I was going to say. He believed in that his father was there giving him the strength and the talent to do it. So he believed it to come true, and it came true. The power of believing.
Yeah, or
right?
Or he just got more encouraged to do a better,
He believed
at bowling.
He believed that he was going to do better because his dad was there to help him.
Yeah.
And believing is receiving, whether that's positive or negative, correct?
Yeah.
But I think it's an opportunity to talk a little bit about religion. Do you want to touch on that at all?
Sure.
I mean, why stop at politics, right? We might as well.
No kidding.
We might as well open the door.
Yeah,
to
like back whenever Nancy was basically praying to George Floyd. You can't really pray to dead people. The dead people are dead until the return of Christ.
Right. Which that could be a controversial thing to say to people because most people believe that you go to heaven or you go to hell whenever you die, and actually that's not what the Bible says. Right.
You're asleep essentially until until Christ returns.
Your soul is your breath life. That's what animates you. That's what makes you alive. When you die, you lose that breath life. You lose that soul. And if you accepted Christ into your heart, that's his gift to us for everlasting life. Then once Christ comes back and raises you from the dead, you have everlasting life at that point in time. But when you die, you're dead. You go nowhere. You're like you said, the Bible calls it you're asleep, because when you're asleep and all of a sudden you wake up the next morning, you have no recollection of what happened when you were asleep. That's how it is when you die. So people will have no recollection of anything until Christ comes back and raises them from the dead. Right?
That's right.
Now, I know this may shock some people out there that hear this perhaps for the first time.
Well, it's just commonly taught that people go straight to heaven or hell immediately when they die, and that's just not what the Bible says. It says that you're asleep until the return to the resurrection of the dead. And
to use Jen Psaki's verbiage, we're going to circle back by my saying that, because that's another reason why life is so precious, because you need to enjoy and appreciate life while you're here living, because once you die, you die. So that's why life is so precious, and why you should get out and live your life and appreciate your life and not be scared to not go outside and, appreciate all that God has given us on this earth. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's just, see how it's all interconnected? We're circling back, people. Circle back. Say it with me. Circle back. Have you ever seen the montage they put of Jen Psaki up saying that over and over and over again?
No, I did notice that she hasn't been saying that as much lately.
Well, yeah, because everybody's been rubbing in her face.
Yeah.
But there is a job I wouldn't want, especially with Biden in office. Speaking of Biden, did you see him on the video conference with all of these leaders from around the world?
He was the only one wearing a mask.
He was the only dumbass wearing a mask.
In a room by himself.
By himself. I mean, we just look so stupid to the world. He's such an embarrassment. Don't you think? But in his mind, he thinks he's doing the right thing.
Why would he do that? Wouldn't he look at the screen? It's like, okay, nobody else has a mask on. I think I would just take mine off,
No, because he thinks he's better than everybody else. He clearly knows better than everybody.
Maybe he knows he's going to start slurring his words and start, saying stupid things.
Kind of disguise his stupidity.
Because if you notice, like a lot of times whenever he's talking, there's like a it's Marine One is the helicopter.
Yeah. I know. My sister-in-law Kelly texted me because we were talking about that, and it's like, what is the name of that helicopter that
Marine
you get
One.
on? Yeah.
They usually have Marine One in the background, so you can't really hear what the stupid things he's saying. Okay, what else you got?
Okay.
We're getting up there.
Do you want to? Let's ask some questions. Well, I have these up. Let's see. Philosophical questions. Do you like the philosophical questions? I know you love all of these questions.
I love this part.
Let's see. Does hardship make a person stronger? If so, under what conditions and at what point is it too much hardship? If not, what makes a person stronger? Ooh, I think that's a really good question.
I think hardship can definitely make somebody stronger.
Oh, absolutely.
For sure.
But what point do you think is too much? Like if I were to lose my entire family, I think that might be too much.
Or if you die.
Well, yeah. Because but if you die, your hardship's over. You're dead.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you think there's a point that's too much is too much? Because you hear that all the time. Because people are like, well, God's
PSD.
testing me.
Yeah, well, you might get like PSD. That would be the point where it's
PSD.
What is it? PST?
PTSD.
PTSD. PSD.
Like a psychology degree?
Yeah.
Or?
If you get PTSD. I mean that, and it drives you crazy.
Post-traumatic stress syndrome.
Yeah, if it makes you crazy, then that might be a little bit more.
But I do think hardship definitely makes you stronger and more resilient and more resourceful because you've been through it once, you don't want to go through it again.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? Is suffering a necessary part of the human condition? What would people who never suffered be like? Well, I think that is a perfect example of the world that we live in right now. Because I feel like most people don't suffer. Most, like the younger generation, I feel like has been babied and pampered. And look where we are today.
Yeah.
Because kids...
Yeah. They got a trophy for everything.
They freak out if you tell them no. They don't know how to handle that.
Yeah.
So I think that this world that we live in now is a perfect example of that question of what happens with people who never suffer. This is what happens. You have a bunch of snowflakes that can't go outside without freaking out.
Yeah, what do you think if they started requiring people to go into the military, after high school or something?
I think it'd be great.
Just for the discipline.
Yes. I think it'd be fantastic.
I don't know, that would never fly, but...
Like mandatory drafting like they used to.
Yeah,
but
mandatory military service.
Right.
I think some countries do that, but...
I think it would be good for our kids.
Get people...
It would teach them discipline.
In shape and get them some discipline.
Respect.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think it would be a great idea, but no, because, the kids nowadays, they're so spoiled. I mean, the thought, they're so upset about take their cell phones and their internet and all this stuff away from them, and then let's see how they would react. I mean, they think they have it bad now. Go to one of these third world countries where, there's all these gangs and corruption, and they think they've got it bad.
We're headed there, so we're headed toward being a third world country.
Let's see. Would things get better or worse if humans focused on what was going well rather than what's going wrong?
Things would get better. Is that the question?
Yeah, but would they though?
Things would get better. If you focus on the good, if you focus on the positives, things always get better. Your attitude changes.
I guess that would be like heaven on earth. If you were always focusing on what went well, because
or just instead of looking at the negative news all the time, just read the word or whatever. Just focus on things that are positive or uplifting.
But positive doesn't sell.
Yeah, the things would get better.
Positive is boring.
Right. Yeah, they couldn't sell advertising for sure.
Yeah. How likely do you think it will be that humans will last another 1,000 years without killing ourselves off?
I think it's likely. I mean, assuming the Lord doesn't come, but I think that, really nothing, all this stuff has happened before. There's nothing really that's changed. It's just, different
Circumstance.
Circumstances. And
Okay, side note, what I know that nobody can predict this, obviously, but how bad do you think it'll have to get before Christ comes back? Because doesn't the Bible say that it's going to be pretty bad?
It's going to get pretty bad. I mean, there's going to be rivers of blood from all the people getting killed and things like that.
Wow, that's crazy.
But I mean, right now things. I just read this history book. I got through with this history book a few weeks ago, and things like Thomas Jefferson's vice president shot and killed Alexander Hamilton, who was the Secretary of the Treasury. It's like that's pretty crazy stuff.
That's
Could you
pretty
imagine
crazy.
something like that happening?
Yeah, that'd be pretty crazy.
Aaron Burr killed
Wow.
Alexander Hamilton. I think that's right.
That's kind of like, do you remember when Reagan was shot?
Yeah.
Almost assassinated?
Oh yeah.
Man, that's just that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. I mean,
It's pretty crazy. It's scary.
It seems bad right now, but has it really changed that much? I mean, just look back at the 60s, how bad that was.
I guess every generation has their own struggle.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like right now it's kind of bad.
It's
They're
just kinda
censoring us and trying to keep everybody in their house and
That is true.
restrict you from living your life unless you have a vaccine passport. And
Right.
I kind of feel like that's bad, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess it's just a different kind of bad, like you said. By the way, good job, Charlie Kirk.
What?
By the way, if you haven't listened to Charlie Kirk, he's phenomenal. He's fantastic.
Yeah, he is awesome.
Definitely recommend. But that's one reason why you like Charlie Kirk, because he always brings in an aspect, like historical aspect to the conversation.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
he
you
always
just did
talks
that,
about
so.
historic things. It's
That's
really
pretty cool.
really
Mhm.
interesting.
Good job.
Yeah.
Good job.
Thanks.
Very, very proud of you.
Thanks. Yeah, I picked up it's actually a junior high history book.
Oh, really?
A few months ago. And I read it. I read the entire thing from front to back. I was just I just wanted to look at the Revolutionary War and also the Civil War, just to kind of see how that compared to what's going on now. And then I just read the entire thing. It was pretty interesting.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Here's an interesting question.
Hang on a second. I think we got something going on here.
Oh,
with
okay.
this. It seems like it's locked up.
Oh,
okay, there we go.
There it goes. Okay, here's an interesting question. If freedom is simply being able to do what you want, are animals freer than humans? That's a pretty good question.
Yeah. Yeah,
But I mean, animals, but are they free though? I mean, because they're always being hunted down.
It just always
by,
cracks me up how a dog you'll be sitting there and he'll just take a crap or pee
right in front of you. No shame whatsoever.
Like, yeah, and then turn around and eat it.
I know dogs are a strange creature, that's for sure.
That's crazy.
But are they really freer though? Because they have to worry about being preyed upon and dying and being eaten.
Yeah, and like dogs, I mean, they're dependent on humans for food and things. So
that's true.
I don't know. I can't answer that question.
But we're free if we have Christ.
That's true.
Yeah. So see, we're circling back again, people. Circling back. It's all interconnected. All right, that's pretty much all I have. So tell me about your week. How's the trailer coming along?
I'm kind of bogged down. I've been doing the wiring, which is actually really, really fun. I think I could have been an electrician.
Oh, honey, you could be anything you want. You're such a good jack of all trades.
I really enjoyed it. It just took a long time. I'll put a picture of the fuse box.
I heard you were exploding some lights.
Yeah, I did make a mistake today. I wired up some 12-volt lights to 120 volts, and that didn't go well. But
so don't tell the story how
the wiring is I can tell it's working.
You wired it up, and you said turn it on, and then
pop, poof, poof.
Don't explode our trailer, please.
Yeah. But anyway, I got the wiring is pretty much done. So tomorrow I'm going to be painting the cabinets because we got the countertops this week.
Yeah, I haven't seen them yet. I've just seen the picture. They're still in the box, so I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what they look like.
Yeah,
but
I got
I'm a
the
little
countertops.
nervous because they seem heavy.
I'm a little concerned about the weight
Yeah.
on the tongue of the trailer at this point. So
Yeah.
really that's the only heavy thing up there in the front at this point. Because
Yeah.
everything else, the cabinets are just light as a feather. They're made out of plywood, but they're really, really light. So it should be fine. So tomorrow it's supposed to be 80 and sunny tomorrow, so I should be able to paint the
Yeah.
cabinets, and then next week put in the countertops.
Looking forward to that. That's going to look sharp because you're
Yeah.
going to paint them white, right?
Yeah.
Notice how I'm not participating in this conversation. He's doing all this work by himself, by the way.
No, actually, I got my uncle helping me.
Yeah, he's helping you, but
He's
I just
really a
feel
pretty
bad
big
'cause
help.
I am so useless when it comes to this kind of stuff. I would just be in your way. I have no idea. I just am not. I'm not good at that constructing building stuff at all. And not to mention every suggestion I make, he shoots down anyway.
No, I don't. It's actually been pretty fun. It's been pretty challenging, but I'm getting a lot of the details are just dragging on and on
Yeah.
and on. The wiring.
I know you always
the-
find that very
the
tedious.
trim, that sort of
But
thing.
it's going to
So,
be incredible when you get done with it. And the nice thing about that is if anything goes wrong, you'll know exactly how to fix it since you're building it from scratch.
No kidding. There was a story this week that was on our spreadsheet that how RV sales
Oh, yeah.
have gone through the roof this year.
Which, I mean, I understand because,
I mean, what else can you do?
right. People don't want to fly because it's so weird and uncomfortable. And
We did fly to Florida this year, and in 2020.
Actually, it was in 2020.
And it actually wasn't too bad.
It wasn't too
We had
bad.
to wear a mask.
Which I'm actually okay with that.
Yeah.
On a
If you're-
plane because you're
yeah.
so close to people.
Yeah.
I'm actually okay with that.
But then other things like cruises. Has there even been a cruise in the last year? I don't think so. I think there's been a
Are
no
they going
sail
to allow
order.
you to even go on a cruise at all this year?
I don't know. I think the no sail order has extended through to November.
Good grief. That is
And I
insane.
just stopped paying attention to it because it's like
How evil and
Every time I
crazy
would
is that they've destroyed?
start thinking about going on a cruise. It's like, okay, well, it's going to be a couple more months. It's going to be a couple more months, and then it's like, it's been a year since they even had any cruises.
Yeah, it has been a year.
So in other words, it's that explains why RV sales have gone through the
Oh
roof.
yeah, because I mean,
Because what else can you do?
Right. Yeah.
So anyway. So what about you?
I spent my week just trying to survive day by day because it was rough. It was a rough week, but other than that, no. I mean, I really was just trying to survive day by day.
Karen is almost never. I mean,
I'm
you're
never
sick. Like once every 5 years.
Right.
So whenever she is sick, she's sick.
I get pretty sick.
Yeah.
I used to be really prone to sinus infections. I used to get them like every year, and then I haven't had one in 10 years. So I have no idea what triggered this one, but
It's the mask worms.
actually, you laugh about that. Well, it may be a thing. I don't know, but honestly, you mark my words. There's going to be some long-term repercussions.
You haven't had any problems till you started wearing those
Exactly.
masks. I'll put a link to the mask worm videos.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have seen that, which looks gross
I
and
don't think
disgusting.
I don't think it's worms.
I don't think
it's just
worms. I think it's
these
just fibers.
Yeah, these fibers in
But-
these masks. But if you're breathing fibers,
Yes.
it can't be good for you.
It can't be good for you.
Yeah.
Not to mention, I have to wear a medical grade mask when I'm around patients at work, and I'll be honest. I mean, I wear one for a week before I toss it and get a fresh
You should bring one of those home, and I'll put it under a microscope and check it out.
I don't
see if
think
I
I
can
want to
see any-
know, to be honest. I don't think I want
Yeah.
to know. That'll freak me out. But yes, who knows? Maybe that's one reason why I got sick, because I've been breathing my own carbon dioxide
and the fibers. It cannot be good for you.
It cannot be good for you to not have fresh air.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Mark my words. There's going to be some kind of study that comes out that shows that it's not
Yeah, but
a good idea.
it'll just get canceled.
It'll never get reported on. Is what it
it'll
is.
just get canceled.
The only reason I'll know about it because I look at alternate
Yeah.
news sources.
Yeah. All right, that's it.
Speaking of alternate news sources, my sister-in-law got me turned on to this. Is it
Telegram.
Telegram? I don't know why I keep wanting to call it Telegraph, but it's Telegram, and it's kind of like a cross between Facebook and Twitter. And I just downloaded it today, so I've not had a chance to really look around on it or anything. But a lot of conservative people are over there, so that's another great place to go if you're looking for alternate news sources. But all the stuff that we're talking about, we're getting from places like that, and TatumReport.com and
Gab.
Gab is a great place
has got
to
some
go.
great stuff on there.
Gab has got some great stuff on there,
Yeah.
and WND.com and actually some of these foreign places, BBC,
BBC, and also the Daily Mail.
And
then locally, Nick Reed.
Yeah, our local conservative talk show host, he is pretty incredible as well.
If you want to find out about what's going on locally, which is some pretty crazy stuff. Yeah,
because we live in a pretty liberal city, so it's pretty good too. So all of this to say is these news sources are out there. You just kind of have to look for them, and I would highly recommend that you get all this information from both sides. Come to your conclusion. Make up your own mind. Don't listen to us. I mean, we have obviously one view, but it's always good to look at all information and make up your own mind because we're not always right.
Well, I am.
I know it's very hard. It's hard to believe. Okay,
All right.
I think we've chit-chatted enough. Thank you so much for listening this week, and stay safe out there and live your life.
Thanks for watching and listening.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye. $60.
All right, let's just get going.
Okay.
Are you ready? Check 1, 2.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So Karen, what happened?